Thanks all of you being here. So I'm Mujan. I'm the CEO of Startup Sesame and the initiator of Women in AI. Briefly to let you know that Women in AI is a global community of women expert influencers in AI. And our mission is to close the gender gap in the field of artificial intelligence. And today we have three brilliant women in AI with us on the panel, and we're going to talk about reverse engineering AI. So I'm going to actually ask my dear friends to a little bit, explain yourself and tell us what you do. Please, Kate.
Oh, lovely. So before I start, I would like to say that even if artificial intelligence is supposedly going to take over the world, I still believe that you guys are harikasınız. So what do I do? I am an ambassador for CTAI in London, and CTAI is a global applied artificial intelligence community. So if you have any problem understanding how AI can be applied in your company or in your organization, or simply you want to learn, you come to a local ambassador like myself, and we will connect you to local practitioners, AI experts, or startups that are already using artificial intelligence. I also want to credit Mike Reiner and Chris AW for putting together this global organization. They are the founders. Also, I'm an IEEE committee member, and I look at ethically aligned design, which is figuring out what are the general principles for applying an ethical framework into artificial intelligence. The global lead for this initiative is John Haven, so I just wanted to credit him as well for this work.
Thank you so much, Kate. Esther?
Thank you. My name is Esther Lancaster, and I am the CEO of a company called Singuli. Singuli is interested in enabling ubiquitous digital systems to think. At the moment, artificial intelligence only imitates intelligence, and we're interested in enabling all ubiquitous systems to think, to actually show intelligence. And this is a very exciting step in the advancement of artificial intelligence, especially because we've created a new technology called fresh intelligence, which is a framework, an ethical, friendly framework that ensures that this true intelligence, true artificial intelligence, is aligned with the benefit of all. Thank you.
Yeah, you told me an amazing description about your what you do at Open in artificial intelligence and fresh intelligence. Can you tell me why you chose fresh intelligence? Which is interesting, you told me earlier.
Oh, simply with fashion tech?
Yes.
Simply that was my background. I came to the interest in artificial intelligence whilst I was writing my thesis, which was a while ago, and it was interested in how the fashion industry would start using these advanced technologies to actually start advancing the human body and taking what we understand to be the fashion industry actually into the body, streamlining the human body, and obviously with the use of nanotechnology, resolving disease on the fly, this kind of thing, whilst also doing all of this within a very stylish vehicle, if you like. So that made me incredibly interested in the kind of potential for the technology that we really hold in our hands, and incredibly dedicated from that moment to sourcing an ethical framework, because obviously not only would it be dangerous if these technologies were used outside of an ethical framework that is of benefit to all, but also I could see very clearly that we wouldn't, as a humanity, be able to access the kind of advances we're really interested in unless there was an ethical framework in place.
Thank you. Hanan.
Hello, thank
you. Thanks for being here.
Well, I am Hanan Salam, and I have initiated Women in AI with Mujan. I also work in robotics. So I work in a robotic company which is specialized in autonomous intelligent robotics for home security, where we are developing artificial intelligence algorithms in order to revolutionize security at homes and replace classical alarm systems. So
okay, thank you. So you might ask why our panel is called Reverse Engineering AI. Well, basically, let me read you the description of reverse engineering on Wikipedia. So reverse engineering means the reproduction of another manufacturer's product following detailed examination of its construction or compositions, meaning that you separate the different parts of a product and analyze how that product has, been built. So you understand what was the logic behind it. So how we do in, reverse engineering AI, and what we call this, the topic of this panel is that, so today we don't have really a big issue in AI, but we see new trends today that we have biases in AI, and the main, purpose of AI, it's like, being, turning our life better and making, human being more comfortable, happier, and the fact that we have seen many biases, for example, in different products. For example, last week I was trying to take a picture on Facebook on my phone, and I had my dear friend next to me, and because he's black, I couldn't, actually take that picture because the camera wasn't detecting his face. So these kind of, emerging problems, we see them these days. We also have them in health, we have them in recruitment, and we all, for example, today are here because, we share the same vision of women in AI, and we think that there are biases in the teams that are, working on these applications. And one of the issues today is that if you're becoming more and more dependent on AI applications, and we are creating more assessment tools that they're gonna help us to decide and take our decisions. So then if there's a bias there, it's gonna be dangerous. It's gonna eliminate the part of the population that their data is not fed in the system. The data, how is it fed? By the engineers who are working there, and if the team, the engineers, they are not diverse enough, that is going to be not generic, and the applications will be basically discriminative. So we don't want to create the discriminative agents, and why we want to talk about is that how we could have a more personalized and better application of AI. So I have a question from our panelists. Do you think that AI should basically serve everybody? Do you think that AI should make everybody happy?
Right, so we have to discriminate. We have to make a difference between normative ethics and descriptive ethics. Descriptive ethics is, what do you think is good? What do you think an AI system should do so that it ensures the well-being of a specific group or humans? And that descriptive approach is not something that is regulated. If you want to ensure that AI respects global universal frameworks of ethics or moral principles, what you need to do is you need to look into what is regulated and what can be expressed in normative instructions. So what you need to figure out or reverse engineer is, how do you pair ethical principles that are global, that are universal, that you find in various types of bodies, with the specific code of ethics associated to that profession in which you apply AI, and what is appropriate from human to human interaction in terms of value, and how do you relate to somebody else. So you pull all of that knowledge together, and then you try to translate it into instructions that a machine can understand. Then you iterate on, you go ahead and test if the machine is behaving appropriately. You do it in a sandbox environment, and once you are quite sure that you are that your system is working, you can go ahead and deploy it live. So to answer your question, if AI should be beneficial to all, well, first look at what is universally acknowledged to be good, what is universally acknowledged to be ethical. Then look at your original and professional code of ethics or code of what is moral in your profession. And that's how you figure out how you should approach this problem.
So it's interesting because, well, basically I know each of you for different projects that we had been working together, but I remember once you told me that if, for example, an AI tells me that, for example, I love you, or it goes further into emotions, this is not ethical.
Yes.
So how do we say that? How do we create AI more, like general, and to help people?
Sure.
Like, how is it this
Sure.
in terms of ethical?
So I have something prepared for the audience. Ugur, thank you. That is a slide I prepared. Right. So I'd like to take you through a process. So what you do, as you said, you look, for example, you are a startup that looks into developing personalized medicine or precision medicine, and you are going to take care of somebody who is ill or somebody who has a problem, and you're trying to diagnose and offer a very personalized type of drug. Then what you need to do is you start with a global framework for what is considered ethical in that sector. So in that case, it would be the Non-Discrimination Act. What does it say? That you shouldn't discriminate people based on their genetic information, or you shouldn't discriminate. So that is at a very high level. Then what you do is you go back and you look at the Code of Ethics for Medicine. What is it that you can incorporate from that very specific, professionally specific body into your algorithm? Once you figure that out, you go ahead and you talk with doctors and nurses, and you ask them what is appropriate in a doctor-to-patient relationship. Is it appropriate to provide, is it appropriate to be empathic, and if yes, in what way? Should you be overly close? Should you have like a specific professional distance between a doctor and a patient? So you take that in consideration, and then what you do is you have your own ethical instruction set, which is, this is what our system should incorporate in terms of ethics. That's what we think is ethical in our specific startup. That's how you reach to that conclusion. Then you make sure that there's algorithmic responsibility taken in consideration, and transparency. Algorithmic responsibility means that you need to ensure that the database is complete enough to represent women, to represent people with disabilities, to represent people from various backgrounds. That is responsibility. Transparency, as to your point, you need to ensure that technology discloses itself as being a tool. It does not state that I am a doctor, because if it states that I am a doctor, then the person, the patient will probably say, well, a doctor told me that I should take this drug, so I trust this technology, which is inappropriate. It needs to disclose itself as simply being a technology. And then what you need to do is you test it in a very restricted environment. You test this implementation, and then you deploy it and gather live feedback and see if the machine is actually not harmful, if it is not discriminating against any specific group or minority, if it's not misleading people. And slide end, kapat.
Maybe I'll just, yeah, it's okay. So, Hanan, what do you think? How we can reverse engineer AI? I know that you work on facial recognition, and what do you think? Can AI have emotions?
Can AI have emotion? Well, I want to emphasize...
How do we reverse engineer AI in your point of view?
Okay, so how do we reverse engineer AI? I think that we live in a biased world, unfortunately. So when we make, as humans, when we make decisions, we make biased decisions, we have biased opinions. So what we should do is that we should make sure that when we create artificial intelligence algorithm, that we don't replicate this bias, and also that we don't create other biases that don't exist. So in order,
they shouldn't retrain.
Yeah. So first of all, we should make sure that the data that we are using is unbiased. We should also work in order to create databases, richer databases that are that doesn't have biases, that follows certain norms, respects certain norms in order to eliminate biases. And we can also train artificial intelligence algorithms in order to detect biases and bring to the attention of the humans, alert humans in the existence of biases. We can also support research on artificial intelligence and bias. I think this way we can encourage the development of new algorithms in order to detect biases in artificial intelligence databases.
So, actually, Hanan is doing a great job at Women in AI. She's the head of educational program. And what the mission actually that we have for this education program is to train more women to integrate more AI teams in companies. Do you think this is something that we could help to reverse engineer AI?
Yeah, of course, we can organize workshops in international conferences in order to encourage researchers to submit papers and to do research work to remove biases in an algorithmic way, that is to make new algorithms that would detect biases from data, and then AI and the human will work together in order to delete the biases from the existing data and from the world.
Esther, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So you work on the emergence of human intelligence and artificial intelligence, and with an eye on how to, like by fashion, like and focusing on fashion, how you merge these two parts together. What do you think about, like, reverse engineering AI? How do you do that in your domain?
Thank you. So within the context of what we've been speaking about today, I would firstly say that it's important to take a moment to really look at what's actually happening within society right now. We've gone through a period of incredible technological revolution, and of course we know that it's considered that we've only achieved 7% of what's possible, which I think we'd all agree with. But still, there's been an incredible revolution, and what's occurred in this time is that as we've gone forwards, we've seen things come up that have been, shall we say, obstacles, what you might call biases. We've seen, as the technology has improved, certain things have gone wrong, or there's been obstacles in the way. For example, I don't know if you remember when there was that chatbot and it started being very racist and it was absorbing all of the information.
I have actually a question for you. This is very interesting you say, so we just actually run out of time, but what makes us human? Like, what makes us human?
Okay, so what I was going to say is just that what we're really seeing is all the human qualities that we don't want anymore, that aren't beneficial. They're all coming up very powerfully in the light of artificial intelligence. And what's occurring is that we are taking steps to ensure that those things do not become biases within artificial intelligence. And so I just to finish off that actually, this is a very exciting time, and as all of these things come up that we want to change, just to recognize that actually we are changing these things, both for the artificial intelligence, but it's also having an effect on what we consider to be appropriate for human intelligence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we ran out of time, but thank you, ladies, for being here. I hope that we managed to do the reverse engineering AI. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.